Welcome to the Business of Property podcast. I'm Simon.
And I'm Stuart.
We're both property people running our own businesses. This podcast is just us chatting, as we often do, about anything and everything property. So we haven't recorded an update episode for a little while, Stuart. And in one a little while ago, we did tease about your football efforts, or your football coaching efforts. And I think you might have some news on that.
Yes, so it was an unexpected question, but I have passed my level 2 coaching badge. So I am now one away from doing UEFA B, which I shan't be doing, I hasten to add. But level 2 coaching is good enough for me to help the boys, but a success. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, very well done on that. I think that's a big achievement. It's taken quite a lot of effort, I believe, from the various stories and anecdotes I've heard along the way. So,
yeah, I shan't go into that. Thank you very much. I shan't go into that today. But yeah, it takes a bit of time out, but it's a valuable thing, and I enjoy doing it with the kids. So yeah, all good. Thank you. And I guess my question to you, because you mentioned angel investment, which I didn't realise you were seeking or had sought or had.
Yes. So you're preempting my update there.
Yes.
So my my update that I thought I'd talk about today. I recently heard from one of the one of the projects that I have been an angel investor for. I'm not sure how you phrase this, but we'll go with that. In so much as they've had their revaluation through. And they're now expecting that to lead through to their remortgaging, such that they can return my angel investment, and along with a number of other people's. So this is only a tiny angel investment. This isn't something that I have enough money to do very much of, unfortunately. And perhaps we should talk about why I think you need to be. I think why you need to have reasonable confidence in your ability to lose the money before you start angel investing. So this was an angel investment, small angel investment, just £10,000. And the people who received it took small investments from quite a number of people in order to reach the capital amount they needed. And they used that to purchase a property, which they've now converted into an HMO. They've done quite extensive renovations actually on this particular property. And as part of that, they were on a bridging loan as well as the angel investment to start with. And they're now planning to come off that bridge onto an HMO mortgage. And their revaluation is in line with what they were hoping. And that means that they are going to shortly be repaying all of their angel investors, or very nearly all of them. I think they've got one or two who have said they want to stay in for longer, and that was as expected and as planned. That's fitting. So yeah, I've only ever done 2 angel investments. The other one is still ongoing, so this will be the first one that I'm expecting to be repaid.
Well, that's always a happy day, and it wasn't what I was expecting. I incorrectly assumed you were the recipient of angel investments.
Ah, no.
You are the angel investor.
Yes, indeed.
So yes. I have even more questions for you.
Excellent. I like questions.
In your nose, just for the audience, your nose is extending as we talk.
Go for it, Stuart.
Well, I'm interested because I'm usually the recipient of angel investment. Mm. Probably not as grand as angel investment, but I have investors, as you know. Mm. But I'm genuinely interested just to understand a little bit more about why you decided to invest in the investment you invested in, because 10k is still a significant amount of money.
Yes, it is, and as mentioned earlier, I think if you're going to do angel investing, because it's not a joint venture, I have no charge over the property being involved or anything like that. It's effectively an unsecured loan to these people. And if things were to go horribly wrong, I could potentially lose all of that investment, which is a little bit scary.
Yeah.
And hence why the numbers involved are still fairly small, I think.
Relatively speaking,
certainly
I guess.
In the property world.
Yeah. In the south.
Yes, indeed, yeah. So I've forgotten your question now.
Well, that's fine, because there's just
so
one
I went
thing.
off on a tangent. Sorry.
We like tangents on this show, but I think there was one important thing just to call out there. You said there was no charge on the property, which I just think is quite interesting, given that we've recently done glossary episodes and things. So you're talking about the fact that when you don't have a charge over it, you have no legal grounding over that property, and you made it clear by saying you have no. Sorry, it was an unsecured loan, which essentially means you've given someone or an entity 10k with very little recourse of getting that back should anything go wrong.
Yes. I mean, there was a loan agreement, so small contract, that sort of outlined that it was a loan, and I was expecting the money back at some point,
of course,
and outlined the interest that we would be paying on that until such date as it's given back. But yes, ultimately that's about it, really. So yeah, perhaps we should just. I can see you biting at another question there, but just before I let you get that in, yes, a charge on a property. So typically, if you have a mortgage, they will have what's called a first charge over the property. So if you stop paying them, they are the first people who can use the property to come back again and
also
recoup
known
their
as
costs.
Senior debt.
Ooh, could be. I've not come across that term before, actually. But yeah, could be. But it's a first charge as opposed to a second charge, which sometimes you might get if you take out a second mortgage on a property, or if there's someone else involved who loans against that property. I don't know if you get third, fourth and fifth charges. I've never heard of such things, but I don't know if
I think where my head's
might do that.
is when you're buying as a company.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have senior debt will be the main mortgage provider. So you can have senior debt, mezzanine, and so on and so forth, which would then become your sort of third and fourth charge, or banks that have debentures in your company. And don't ask me to explain it now. I need to do a little bit more research. I mean, I have these things, but I've now forgotten. But yeah, essentially what you just gone through there.
Cool. Right. So before we get into too many more terms we don't know the definitions of, why don't you ask your question?
Well, my question was just around what interested you, why on this particular project did you decide to invest?
Oh, yes, that was the question. Sorry. As we mentioned before on episode some while ago, I was looking to try and extend my portfolio and buy another property. And one of the reasons why I didn't quite have enough was actually because I'd given some of the money away to angel investors. So I'm not sure it was actually the best decision I've ever made. But at the time, I wasn't ready to buy anything else. I had a little bit of money hanging around, and I wanted to learn more about HMOs and the processes and the renovations for them. And these particular people I invested with are very keen on being open with their processes and their plans and the building works, and sort of providing lots of updates. And they did invite all their angel investors along for several sort of open days, if you like, to the property, both before they started, during, and now after they finished. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to any of them because they clashed with family commitments because they were all of the weekend. But lots of other people did go, and I saw lots of photos and videos and things like that from the project. So
it was confidence.
It was good learning, and I wanted to try and put the money to work a bit. So the interest provided was 8% in this case. So it's not groundbreaking, but it's better than you get in a bank, that's for sure.
Per annum?
Per annum, yep. And I got a whole load of learning with it as well. Prior to deciding to invest, I've known the people for over a year, and had sort of concluded that they were trustworthy. They've got a number of existing projects under the belt. So yeah.
And can we ask what the term was in terms of length of time?
In terms of
the loan,
how long they agreed before giving the loan back.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what this one said, because they knew they needed some flexibility, because they weren't sure quite how long the refurb would take and quite how long the remortgage would take after that. So I think it was 9 months, but I think we're actually now looking at probably getting it back in nearer 6 months.
So it's only, so you'll get your money back after 6 months,
give or take. I think, yeah.
Okay, that's. I think that's pretty quick. Well, that is really quick.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I have the one other angel investment I have, or that I've made, should I say, was for a 2-year project. That's actually with the same people, and that was only for £5,000. That was where my first toe in the water, at a slightly lower level.
So something you'll be looking to do again, or you now, given your objectives for this year, thinking about?
My current plan is to now hold that money and feed that into my other plans for the year for further purchases of my own.
And what term, like in terms of length of time, what wouldn't you have considered if someone said, "Well, we need the money for this amount of time"? What wouldn't you have thought about?
I think that all depends on the other parameters, characteristics of the situation. So how much interest is being paid, how much the actual loan is, whether it's more of a joint venture or if it's just angel. So if it's just angel, I think probably 2 years is probably my maximum for what I'd want to commit. In this particular case, the most recent one that is now due to be coming back, because I had an inkling that I was wanting to buy again before too long, and 10,000 is a reasonable chunk of money that I'm going to need for that. I don't think I would have gone any more than the 9 months.
That's interesting. Just thinking about how an angel investor thinks on that side of the table.
Have you considered being an angel investor in other projects at all? I mean, I know currently you're more the other way around, but in the past and things like that at all?
I've definitely considered it. For me, given the projects I work on, though, I'm usually the one in need of, the liquid capital, in terms of the cash, because
you're more providing the expertise and the time to actually carry out the project rather than the funds to carry out the project.
I think, being open, I think that I'd like to be there in the future. That's where I'd see myself, is someone that can hopefully be able to provide capital to others. Once I've learned my trade and got even more experience on it, I think I'd like to be able to do that, because I feel like I could bring the cash and some hopefully knowledge and experience to the table. But the truth is, in the last few years, it's really been, my business has been cash hungry. And as we've spoken about, and will no doubt speak about again, property is a very cash hungry business. No matter how much money you've got, it's never enough. And, it always seems to cost more than you think it's going to cost, and it takes longer than you think it's going to take. And, it's great that you've got a project where that's happened so quickly, but we know that generally that's not the it's an exception rather than the rule. And for me, that's why I've not been in the position to offer cash. Yeah,
I mean, there are different sort of flavours of projects. So this one was expecting to give most of the angels a fairly quick return of their capital, because it was a buy, refurb and remortgage type project. The other project that I'm an angel investor in is less of an upfront refurb. I mean, it was another property that was converted to an HMO, but there was not much refurb in that process. So there was no quick remortgage value in that. So hence that one's a 2-year one, and the plan there for the angels to exit is just increase in value over time, allowing a remortgage. So we'll see whether that works out or not.
Well, I'm sure it will. Like with property, it's time usually, isn't it? It's times that.
Yeah, but will 2 years be enough? And given the variety of things that are changing in the world at the moment, I think it's very, very uncertain quite where things will go.
Yeah, and so just final one. So that the one that you're getting a cash out now, is that in the local area, so in the south?
No, it's not. It's Midlands-ish.
Oh, okay.
I forget exactly where it is, but yeah, it's not local.
So where did you meet the people that you mentioned?
I met them locally. So
right.
Met them at a local property meetup.
Okay, but they do their property development in the north? Midlands?
A mix. So I think they're mostly local, so mostly Crawley based. But they've also been expanding to elsewhere.
Okay.
I think they took quite a while actually choosing their sort of Midlands North area of choice. They did quite a bit of sort of research on where would be a good market for more HMOs. They were quite deliberate about where they chose. They didn't just sort of say, "Oh, I know this area," or "Oh, we've heard good things about this," or whatever. They actually considered a whole selection of different places, and would have visited them and all sorts of things.
Yeah, that's what you want to hear as an investor, isn't it? So
yeah,
very good.
They're quite thorough. So we mentioned there a little bit about what might happen to the property market in the near, or maybe not so near future. Have you heard about the various reports of increases in property transactions of late?
Well,
so we're talking sort of December and more significantly January, I think.
Well, you can't get away from the Boris bounce. It's been mentioned in property circles, in economic circles. So it's interesting, though. It nearly led to an argument with my wife only last night because she said that she'd read a headline about the fact that house prices had increased. And I quite stupidly said, was that on sold value or perceived value from estate agents? To which she said, well, I don't know. I didn't read the main thing. And so that nearly led to an argument. But, so we're hearing that there is increased activity. So you're talking about transactions there. So
yep. Although I have also heard that prices are going up as well. I think prior to the election in December, there was a lot of sort of pent up pressure in the housing market. Lots of people not putting properties on the market, and lots of people not buying as well. So I think there's obviously been a bit of an uncorking of that has led to more transactions. I'm less convinced about the increase in prices. Apart from the else, we haven't got the data through on that yet.
Exactly, yeah.
But the listings, I think, are getting more optimistic, shall we say, from estate agents. So I don't know if you've seen that at all in your browsing. Yeah,
and that was what nearly led to the argument with my other half, because obviously, I said, well, estate agent lists property at a higher value than previous, shock horror has happened. And like you, I kind of want to just see the sold results, wherever they'll come through first, nationwide or the other HPI reports. But the other indicator, that I've seen as well that came out only the other day was in terms of the retail sector. So that's increased. I forget the exact actual number. It's either 0.8 or 0.9%, but it's been the biggest increase, month on month for a long time, for some time. And that's usually a good indicator of, general public mood as well. So clearly there is something happening, but obviously that perfect storm of Brexit and December and Christmas led to a real suppressed. So I don't think it's certainly not a surprise to me, and I'm sure not a surprise to you, that things are improving. I think for me, it's just how much. For me, as someone that's thinking about maybe selling one or two properties, I want to see those prices actually increase. But
because you've got a flip project that's
and I've got
coming
a flip
along,
project,
haven't you?
Yeah, which we'll hopefully be listing start of March. So around now. Yeah.
That's it'll be interesting to see what sort of responses you get from that. Anecdotally, my in-laws are they have listed their property in outer London for sale again. So they listed it, I can't remember, last year, the year before, but a little while ago. And they had very little interest in it, and they dropped asking price and things. And they've just, in the last couple of weeks, relisted it, and they've had quite a lot of interest. They've had a lot of viewings, probably more viewings than they had in the months it was listed before. And that sort of housing market in outer London seems a lot more buoyant now. They haven't had any offers yet, mind you.
Yeah,
there's a lot more people looking around, at least.
Well, that's good news. But yeah, as you say, it's down to the offers and how close the offers are to what you're asking for versus sales. But that is good news, and that's what we kind of all want to hear depending on which side of the fence you are. As a buyer, it's quite nice to have a paucity of other buyers in the market because you know your position's improved. Mm. But as people in the property market, we want to see the market improve.
Yeah, it's tricky. I'd like it to have a bit of a boom for the next few months while I'm trying to sell, and then there needs to have a crash. So when I'm ready to buy again.
Exactly. Yeah, we just want these microclimates that suit us, not the macroeconomics.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not convinced it's going to follow that.
No,
but we can hope.
Yeah.
Although, of course, as the year rolls on, we are going to be getting back into the world of Brexit uncertainty. So we'll see what that does to the market. So you never know. Maybe we will get a mini boom and then a bit of a crash again. I was listening to Rob and Rob on the Property Hub podcast recently, and they were talking about the 18-year property cycle, and how they think that we're now entering the recovery after the mid-cycle wobble. So they think that's potentially over, and we're now on the upward slope.
Be interesting to see.
It will indeed, yeah. I'm not quite so convinced that there's the political climate for it to be sustained, but we'll see. I mean, now that Brexit has happened to some degree, and we are firmly set on that path, there will be lots of machinery going on to try and make the best of that. So maybe it'll be able to counter all the potential concerns to help things keep going up.
Yeah, well, like you, I hope so, given that I've got at least one property to sell in the next 4 months, so some positivity would be good.
Yes, indeed. So on that positive note, shall we bring this episode to a close?
Yeah.
Excellent. So show notes can be found on thebusinessofproperty.com.